I removed those words from my vocabulary, and every time I really genuinely just could not extend the finances to do something, I would just politely decline, and I wouldn't go spend this, wouldn't buy this, wouldn't buy that. And I prioritized what I do want to spend money on. Drop the lack mentality. Drop the story that tells you that you're not good enough and that you don't have enough. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Leeor Alexandra. Welcome to the Baby Elephant community. On this channel, we talk about the law of attraction, spirituality, self-development, and so much more. Today, before 2020 comes around, I kind of want to talk to you guys about what we are going to leave behind in 2019, because the new year is such a good time to shed our old skin, to make affirmations, to make new intentions, to make new goals for the year ahead, because there's an energy that we can tap into, and that energy is a renewal energy. We're all deciding to leave behind things in the past, leave behind the year, and to take on a better year, something hopefully that manifests into a more beautiful, abundant, prosperous, healthy year ahead. So because it's such a powerful time to leave behind the old and bring on all this new stuff, I want to talk about some things that I want to leave behind in 2019. You may be on board with me with these things. I've had such a year of growth and of understanding myself better as a person and understanding other people better and the way that other people operate and why we do the things that we do. And because of that, I realized that, I was holding on to a lot of old relationships and a lot of friendships that just were no longer serving me. And I know that that might sound selfish. And in a way, I used to hear people say that and think that's selfish, like we're supposed to be there for people. But through this past year, I realized that the more that you prioritize yourself and your own needs, the more people who understand that will surround you. And the more those people who were always taking from you in the past will start to give back at the very least. With all this new insight, I've realized that there are certain people in my life that are not okay with me having boundaries. If I don't answer them right away, if I don't answer a text right away, if I'm not there for them right away, they get moody, they get emotional, they make it all about themselves. When in fact, we know that people have their own lives. And we can't get upset if somebody's not answering us, if somebody's not there for us at every second and every day. It's like, yeah, we go through these things and we want our friends to be with us. But to expect somebody to drop everything, to not have been doing something else, we're all adults here, even if you might be a teenager and you might be experiencing this, being a teenager does not excuse this. It's like, we can't drop everything to be there for somebody. And that's there are memes about this, there are quotes about this, like find a friend that drops everything to be there for you. That's not only is it unrealistic, it's selfish. People have their own lives. And I've learned that recently, and I've put my foot down for myself because I am the kind of person that's really there for everybody all the time. And it was so draining to me. I couldn't do my work. My creativity, my energy was sucked up out of me. And I just realized I can't do everything. And it seems like in this life, we really try to be everything and do everything for everybody. It's like we can't just be one thing. We also have to be a great girlfriend, a great boyfriend, a great wife, a great mother, a great this, a great that. Especially women, we really put ourselves in these situations where we have to play all these roles for so many people. Where do we find ourselves in that? Now, what I do for a living is I give service. I am in service to all of you. I'm in service to people all the time. Because of that, I can't make my entire social life about being in service to others as well. So having people in my life who understand boundaries, who understand, maybe I should see if she's in the mood, if she has the energy and the time to hold space for me rather than just dumping on her. Those are the people that we want to keep around, that we want to keep in our lives. And anybody who doesn't understand that, you might feel bad for cutting them off, but realistically, what matters is your mental health, and take it from somebody who knows. Burnout is a real thing. So in 2020, I'm just not going to feed energetically the people who make me feel shameful or guilty about having certain boundaries. And your boundaries might be different than mine, but recognize that if somebody in your life makes you feel bad about having those boundaries, They want things from you that you don't need to give them. And that's okay. It's okay to cut those people off, or at least distance yourself. It's going to feel it's going to feel just like relief. Second type of people that we are leaving back in 2019 is anybody that we have to chase in order to show them our worth and our value. If we constantly feel like we need to be proving ourselves to somebody, those people don't see our innate and inherent value. And that is a waste of your time, because you don't need to convince anybody that you are valuable. You are valuable just for being who you are, for existing. You are worthy and enough just for being who you are, especially for being who you are. Because when you are who you are, when you practice being who you are, you give space and create this permission for so many other people to do the same and to live authentically. So if there are people in your life who you feel like you need to impress all the time, if there are people that you try to fit in with and you just don't feel like you're yourself around them, and you feel like you're really going out of your way to make them appreciate you and make them look at you in a certain way, leave those people behind in 2019, because what happens is this magical thing that when we make space in our lives by removing things that no longer serve us, the universe sees this and says, oh, look, there's space for goodness. Let's give them more goodness. Make that space for better people in your life, and the universe will provide. It just happens. Another thing we're leaving behind in 2019 is limiting prosperity beliefs. I'm just going to say this right now. I do not want to hear I'm broke, I'm poor, I can't afford it. Just don't talk about it. I remove those words from my vocabulary, and every time I really genuinely just could not extend the finances to do something, I would just politely decline, and I wouldn't go spend this, wouldn't buy this, wouldn't buy that. And I prioritized what I do want to spend money on. And when I prioritized that and did spend money on the things that matter to me, the resources came. So basically what I'm asking you is to drop the lack mentality. Drop the story that tells you that you're not good enough and that you don't have enough. You have enough. This universe is completely abundant. There are certain people, there are certain groups who really, really profit and benefit from making us believe that there isn't a limitless abundance of resources, when there really is. Mother Nature constantly provides for us, and the universe constantly provides. We just have to have that faith and that belief. And I see this in comments all the time. I see people who really needed to pay a bill, and rather than being like, no, I need money now, I have no money, I'm broke, they think to themselves, I know that this is going to be fulfilled. I know that there's something out there that wants to provide for me. And at the 11th hour, they received exactly what they needed. It's like the universe does not leave us hanging. And we just have to have that faith and build that momentum, build that relationship with the divine energy, the source energy of this universe, and we'll never want for anything. We'll always have. There's an abundance of resources in this reality. There is no lack. There's only an abundance of lack. Fourth thing we're leaving behind in 2019 is the fear-mongering news media. I talked about this recently in my video about ways that I raise my vibration permanently. One of the things that I did is I stopped watching the news. The news is meant to sensationalize. It's meant to get clicks. It's meant to get watch time. They want us scared, and they want us absorbed and sucked into the matrix, because that creates more of their type of abundance. That creates more money that comes from negative places, right? So when we don't feed ourselves with that fearful content, we release it. We release the fear that permeates physical life so deeply. We're leaving it behind by watching things that uplift us, by consuming content that expands our awareness and raises our vibration. And we are doing this for not just for ourselves, but for our families, for our friends. We're going to be better friends, better children, better mothers, better fathers. We're just going to be better for our community when we are not sucked so deeply into that fear, that us versus them mentality that just separates us. The fifth thing we're leaving behind in 2019 is talking down to ourselves to make other people feel better. I know that a lot of you resonate with this because I've talked about this before, how I always bring myself down, dull my sparkle, and kind of, make fun of myself to make other people more comfortable. And I do this at the expense and sacrifice of myself. So I often will end up leaving a group of people feeling like I completely beat myself up. No more dulling our sparkle and dimming our light to let other people shine. Because the truth is that when we allow ourselves to shine, when we allow ourselves to really sparkle the way that we're meant to be our full, magnificent selves, other people get the permission to do the same. We let everybody be themselves and shine, and we don't, stop one another from shining. We all can win. So we're leaving behind this mentality of, let me make this person feel better about themselves by making myself feel worse. We're going to stop talking down to ourselves to make other people feel better about themselves. No more of that. Catch yourself doing it, stop it, and rewind it, reverse it. I talk myself up all the time now because I spent years beating myself up and just making myself feel horrible to make other people feel better about themselves. Perhaps something that they feel inadequate in. I'll always be the kind of person who talks people up and brings people up, but not at the expense of my own well-being. No more of that. We're leaving that behind. The last thing that I want to leave behind in 2019 is not having enough time. Time doesn't even exist. Time is it's a figment of our imagination. The way that time passes in this slowed down reality is so different because we think that seconds are the same, but that's not really true. There's actually some evidence that time goes by slower or faster. I can't remember when you're closer to the ground than when you're higher up in the ground. I believe that when you're in the atmosphere, time goes by a lot slower. I think that's what it is. I'll find the information on that. But basically, time it's much more liquid than we believe it to be. So we are always running around in this life saying, I don't have enough time. I'm in a rush. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. Thereby creating our reality and creating a reality in which we don't have enough time. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and we're leaving that behind. In 2019, we have plenty of time to do everything we want to do, to get all the spiritual stuff into our day, to do all our rituals, to do all our work, to work out, to cook. We can do whatever we want. And sometimes we don't want to use our time productively. Sometimes we want to lay around and do nothing and stare at the ceiling or watch Netflix or stare at the clouds or play with our pets, play with our babies, play with our, whatever. Just play, just be ourselves, just be. And detach from that time, that checking our time all the time and making every second worth it because we're running out of time. Because when we're running out of time, we're thinking about the future or thinking about the past. We're not enjoying the present moment, and in the present moment, there's plenty of time. That's it for me today on what I'm leaving behind in 2019. Leave a comment below with what you're leaving behind in 2019 and what you're looking for in 2020. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, until next time, keep your vibration way up. I love you. Bye.